We're going to first start off, if you'd stand with me, at the opening prayer from Brandon Hillenberg, and then Maggie Cope will lead our Pledge of Allegiance.
Bow your head. Dear Lord, we come before you tonight and ask that you give us the wisdom as we make decisions for our city. We have several here with strong convictions regarding things to be discussed tonight. Please help us to be kind and respectful to each other while working together to build a stronger Cabot. We're thankful that we live in a town where people care for each other. Help us be the light to those around us. We love you, Lord. Amen. Amen.
Thank you. You may be seated. Tammy, can you give us a roll call?
Long.
Here.
Red.
Here.
Hillenberg.
Here.
Cope.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Waymack.
Here.
All 7 are present. Next item, read ordinances and resolutions by title only.
I make a motion that we read ordinance and resolutions by title only.
Second.
I got a motion by Brandon, second by Stephen, to read ordinances and resolutions by title only. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, roll call vote, please. Tammy.
Long.
Yes.
Long. Red.
Yes.
Hillenberg.
Yes.
Cope.
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Waymack.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. City Council old business, I do not show any. Council, do we have any we need to add? Seeing none, I'll move to City Council new business. We have 3 items tonight. We will start with item 1, resolution number 37 of 2022.
Resolution number 37 of 2022, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk treasurer to enter into an agreement for the expenditure of funds from the Community and Economic Development Fund to amend the budget and for other purposes.
Council, I know people are here to discuss this tonight, so if I could get some action in a second, then we'll move into discussion.
So we can move it on. I make a motion that we adopt ordinance 37 of 2022.
Second.
I got a motion from Ed, a second from Brandon, to adopt resolution number 37 of 22. Council, please state any questions you have about this matter, and then we'll go to the audience.
Mr. Mayor, can we ask Alicia some questions?
You sure can. We have, I didn't know what questions you may have. We have a lot of information here for you tonight. She is bringing with her. Alicia, I'll go ahead and let you start, and then I'll have Ben add some items too about the financing and where the money's coming from.
Hi, good evening. Alicia Paisno, Director of Economic Development. Good evening, and I'm excited to see such a robust crowd here today, so great. Brandon, what you got?
There has been some concerns about these incentives, and I would like you to explain to us and the audience how they work.
Gotcha.
Like, are small businesses eligible for these incentives? I know we're all wanting to grow Cabot, and we want the best for Cabot. So I'm just kind of interested if just say I'm wanting to expand a business and spend $4 or $5 million on a new building. How does that process work?
Gotcha. Well, in September 20th of 2021, this council actually was presented with a incentive structuring for economic development, and that was passed through the city council. That was actually ordinance number, just for future reference, 35 of 2021. That was establishing new disbursement conditions for community and economic development. The framework behind this was to support business. And so during that time, we articulated to the council, and this was under your guidance and recommendation, that we wanted to support the new growth of business, but then also the long-term sustainability of our existing businesses. As businesses and proprietors come and meet with us in our office, we also always offer the different types of incentives and opportunities, grants and bonds that are available to them, not only within the city of Cabot, but also through Small Business Administration, through the state state and through federal assistance. Another example of that is with our partnership with Unity Health. As you know, just last month, you guys approved a very substantial grant that we went out with a joint venture with Unity Health, and that was something that we collaborated with on together because we went out and found those dollars to help catapult that entire incentive and that entire business.
So where does these funds exactly come from?
So as outlined by the ordinance, I will quote it so we do not get in any so sorry. All business license fees received by the city shall continue to be placed into the Community and Economic Development Fund. Additional uncommitted funds, revenues, or surpluses from other accounts may also be added to the Community and Economic Development Fund by the mayor or city clerk treasurer.
So Ben, is any of the funds in this fund taxpayer funds?
The funds that go straight from businesses, no, those are not businesses.
So nothing in this economic development fund that's going to be used for these incentives are taxpayer funds?
Correct. They are business licenses that have been received to the city.
Okay. So no taxpayer funds?
According to the ordinance and the way that it's structured, I would lend myself to
Tammy, is there
Yoko.
taxpayer funds in this account?
Well, there's business license fees that go in that account and bank interest, and that's all.
So there's no taxpayer funds?
Tammy, what's the balance of that account? Do you have that?
I have it. She gave it to me. But Tammy, if you brought it, but I have it. It's 100 and, bear with me. You may be faster than me, Tammy. 118,642.36. 118,642.36.
Any follow-up questions?
That's all I have.
Hey, Alicia. So with this 88,000, I might have missed in there, but I know with the hotel, we granted them money throughout the process. What, is this straight off the bat?
No, it also has an MOU that will be structured, and legal will be drafting that. So the way that the hotel was structured is it was in 3 different payments based on their progress of their development through construction and then through opening their doors. And what those markers were, that the funds would not be released until that. And to date, only one of the 3 have been satisfied. So we've only spent $35,000 towards the hotel.
The first marker, Maggie,
first
is
marker.
that they had to have their pad poured foundation, so they're committed.
So we don't have this agreement written up yet? or-
So there is
Yes.
I say, yes, we do. There actually is an MOU that actually started the process here with us today. We could not enter into any type of official public engagement with letting the city council know is what's going on because of NDAs that we sign within our office with these corporations. And so once the MOU was executed by the developer, it then set all of this in motion with all of us. And so there is a defined MOU.
Maggie, you talking about this thing or the hotel?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let me ask you
Go ahead.
just to clarify, there's an MOU in place if council grants approval to write an agreement. So there is not a structured agreement. You're waiting on your approval for a structured agreement.
And Maggie,
To write a structured agreement if council grants approval. There is not a structured agreement.
and Maggie, I thought you were still talking about the hotel, but obviously there's an agreement because we've already passed that. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, with this one, we had to have this in place to formalize the agreement with the developer to even move forward to present this to you officially. And then once it is approved or disapproved, depending on the will of the council tonight, will then set us in motion with Ben and his team to go ahead and write that formalized MOU of what the markers are for them to receive those funds out of the economic incentive.
And that's the total of 88,000, correct?
That is correct, yes, sir.
So you don't foresee the 88,000 going out at one time?
I cannot speak to that because that is not within my spectrum, I would, I guess, lend myself to the mayor and to
I don't
to
see it
Ben.
going out within 1 year, no. And you got to think the rest of the hotel's deal is only by a year. So their next payment is when they open the doors, and that could be a year and a half from now, or a year, depending on the slowness in construction. And then it's every anniversary they're open for a certain period of time, and I can't remember exactly the years on that, and I apologize.
So the balance is 115.
Yeah, and the fund replenishes each year with the license fees. So we are well within our budget. If you remember, the hotel deal was the first deal we've ever done in the city of Cabot, and this would be the second if it gets done. So I know this is new to everybody. This is something that is very new, and there's been a lot going on in the community and people spreading false things to businesses that we don't care about local business. This is getting pretty ridiculous. If you come to my office with a plan and you want to do something, we will do our best to help you. And I'll present it to council. And if these 7, 8 people up here say no, it's no. But no one else has done that. You've come to my office, you've set a deal, but you haven't brought anything else back. And others of you are sitting in this room, have come in here, and we've helped you 20, 30 times look at different places. I mean, we are here to help. Okay? I'm just trying to get that out here to everybody. It's not because it's a big corporation that they're getting money. That's not it. That's not it at all. This is for our city. It's a growing city that wants options, that wants different things. If y'all remember 1985, 86, the town voted that they wouldn't let McDonald's come in. Ed, you remember that? It took them another 2 years to get McDonald's in here. And guess what? Tasty Freeze didn't shut down. It growed rapidly great because they'd rather go to Tasty Freeze. Okay? That's what's going on in our city. We're doing great things, and we care about you. I'm a small business. Brand's a small business. Stephen's a small business. We know what it takes. Does anyone out here go to Chick-fil-A in North Little Rock or Conway? Probably everyone? Well, guess what? You're not shopping local. You go to the mall, you're not shopping local. You're going somewhere else. Yeah, I want everybody to stay here, so do you. And that's why we want people to stay here, because when they go out to Chick-fil-A at North Little Rock and Conway, they shop at their city, and they fill up with gas in their city. And they come back with a full tank. Right? We want to keep them here. That's what we're trying to do here.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you, Maggie.
So this is only the second one we've ever done, the hotel
This
and
is-
now this one.
That is correct, and this is the second proposal that was ever presented to my office for me to bring to the mayor and before you.
No one else has presented anything
No,
from any
sir.
small business or?
No, and I meet with a lot of small businesses who have great ideas, and again, I give them the resources for the Small Business Administration, the Arkansas Small Business Technology Association, and ways that we can help them work on their business plan moving forward. But whenever you're coming to a funding source similar to this, we're going to need a pro forma. 1 to 5 years, I mean, just like you would. We're going to need a marketing plan. We're going to need a business plan. And then if you are looking at securing a lease or purchasing a space within our city, preliminary, very preliminary. And we did that. We actually just mocked up different things on a Google map to kind of figure out what things we're going to be doing with this property as well. So again, we have got a lot of things that we got to continue to do working with this developer. Once it passes, if and when it passes through here, we still have to go through the planning phase. So everything that you would potentially see in your packet tonight is a preliminary. We still have to do our due diligence and go through the proper procedures regarding getting this through planning.
And since this is something new again, Alicia and I have talked before this fiasco of this weekend has happened, is that we're going to have classes, and we're going to bring people in. So if you're a small business, we're going to show you what you need to go to an economic development center like the city and ask for, hey, here's some money we need. Here's our financials. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what our projections are. Here's what we can bring. We're going to do this next door and this next door. We're going to hire all these different employees for Cabot. You have to have that kind of data. This data here with this restaurant, I'll return 8 times my money. The city will return 8 times their money in the first year. The first year.
Their projections for year one was 5 million. And
that's low.
That was conservative. That was a conservative projection based on the economy and things that are going on within nationally right now.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Brandon, this just wasn't done last, whatever the date that she gave. This fund was created, Ann, help me, I see you're back there. I think the second year of Bill Cypriot's administration.
It's been around for a while.
That ordinance that she just read simply redirected a fund that had been in place at least 6 years prior to that. And no one that I know anything about anyway, even during the Cypriot administration, come in and ask for anything on it. But it has been in place a long, long time, not just now. That was redirected to try to make it a little more available, I guess is the word that I'm using.
Pro-business, perhaps?
But it's been around a while, and that was the way that it was funded. There was a lot of talk then about how to set up a funding source for amenities and those kinds of things in order to help a little bit if somebody come in and that was the hold up on it. Could we do something, not buy anything? We didn't have any land or anything like that. You know, we didn't have that.
Yes, sir.
And it was decided by the administration then and by the council that the best thing to do would be capture those funds that Tammy and the mayor have identified, capture those and put them in a fenced account where they cannot be used for anything else other than economic development. And it was, Ann, wasn't it about the second year of Bill Cypriot's administration? Somewhere like that, second or third year. Anyway, it's that long. It's been on the books that long, been accumulating money that long.
Yeah, I wasn't
The money
here.
has been used.
That's right.
Has been used twice. And that was whenever we had the contract with the chamber for the economic development that they were doing. We gave them a lump sum payment in order for them to perform that. That was $100,000 a year is what that contract was for. That went to the chamber for economic development, and they were driving that boat then.
That's right.
And there was some changes made, and the council decided to support the mayor in hiring their own economic developer. There's where this young lady comes from and why she's in front of us, and try to redirect this and reprogram it a little bit. That's the history of this fund. It's not anything that was just
No, it's not
created a
something
year
that
ago.
I created. It's not something that this council created. It was a prior council, a lot of different people on that council. I don't think anyone here, except for Ron Waymack and you, were on that council that did that. So you're right, this is a continuation of what was once done.
We still open for questions?
Yes, of course.
So, because I was out of town last week and didn't have much insight on this, I don't know what was going on prior to us receiving the information on Friday. Really didn't have a whole lot of time to do any homework on this. I understand that economic development is a chess game. I've been to CDI first year, but I'm still a checkers guy. So I need a little bit more information, if you would. I'm glad the question was asked about the amount that's currently in this fund. My two main questions, I understand that these corporations deal with these types of transactions on a continuous basis with all kinds of cities, and they have to understand that there are timelines and processes that cities have to go through in order to vet these things and potentially approve them. It just seems a bit rushed. But anyway, my first question is, how does this deal, and we probably can't get specifics because they won't be divulged by other cities, but I would like to know how this compares with other cities of like size and demographics. Don't talk to me about Little Rock, North Little Rock, or Conway, because they were not them. So how would Searcy or Russellville compare to this type of deal that we're offering?
So a great question. So I actually went ahead and pulled from the Arkansas State Economic Development Commission a list of cities and counties across the state of Arkansas who have a dedicated economic development tax and what that looks like. And I'll be able to email that to the entire council, and I'll be more than happy to put it on Facebook later this evening. But so cities like Clarksville, Crossett, El Dorado, Melbourne County, Russellville, Paragould, Van Buren, Wynn, they actually have a dedicated sales tax that went to the voters, and that is, and you can see also the revenues per year. And very similar to how we are structured, of how we organize, how those funds are used, each city is very different as far as that goes. So getting into their ordinances of how that tax is redistributed out, who is in charge of that, and what their processes are. And they range, and they really do range on how that money is dispersed out. But they range from everything in regards to economic development, as loose or as tight as those ordinances are written by the city council and that administration.
So we don't have utilities to offer for incentives like a lot of other
Unfortunately, not at this
cities.
time, no, sir.
So this is basically a cash swap for a incentive. And my second question probably is delving more over into the Planning Commission side, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Can someone please explain to me how it was determined that this particular property would be a good location for this business? Because I don't, again, my simple mind, I can't see it there, but that's not for me to approve, that's Planning Commission.
So and I kind of went back through my timeline. So in April of 2021 is when I first made my initial, I guess, research of dealing with the developer. Why many people in the Chick-fil-A world, those proprietors, those are locally owned, but knowing who the developer is on a higher end outside of the state who's going to be able to see this as a capital investment and actually build it and then turn it over to Chick-fil-A and working through a real estate team. Personally, I've worked on 5 different locations in the city of Cabot that we either presented to them, gave them the opportunity to reach out to our local broker or real estate, commercial real estate, let them have those discussions, vet that all the way through, and in the end, those other 5 locations did not provide fruitful, unfortunately. This location was an opportunity that was presented to the real estate team, and they began the discussions with that seller and came up to it. So when it comes down to where we can choose to pick things, unfortunately, that is also outside of my scope. I present opportunities to a potential developer or a business in the area.
I understand that they're going to make the ultimate choice on where they want to locate.
That is correct.
And I'll be very interested to see their designs. The bugger is going to be the traffic.
And we understand that,
So-
and that's why whenever they selected this location, we absolutely understood the importance of that, and that's why we actually brought in people from Public Works, from Planning and Development, Brian Burrows, who is working on that CAS project. So that's when we started to bring our team in within the office. Again, because there was nothing to report, these are just preliminary discussions and designs, but we have spent the past 6 months digging into literally drawing lines on a piece of paper to figure out traffic flow to alleviate that. And so when we came to it, the stacking within for a potential drive-through on this piece of property, providing them this additional land will alleviate the traffic off of the roadways. And that is the only reason why this back end of this parking lot is even coming into question, is for us to do our due diligence, that if this is a property that they have chose, that they are going to buy, and then we want to make sure that that traffic long-term is alleviated off of our roadways.
Since we're talking about traffic, do you mind if I bring Brian Burrows up to tell you where we're at with what we're doing when you're done,
Okay.
of course? Oh, yeah, of course. Brian, come on up.
I'll just hand you stuff.
Your phone? Oh, it's okay. So, did you have a specific question? or you
Yeah,
just-
I guess tell them about, we're going to route through Elm Street because those plans will go to bid here in the next 2 or 3 months
Right.
with State of Arkansas RDOT. And then when we finish up the street that connects to Locust and the back out way to Tasty Freeze, and then the way out Dell Drive, how we've obtained that easement. If you kind of explain that there's different ways to route around the city, that's going to be completed by the time this is done.
Absolutely. So the master street plan actually states some of this, that we're in the middle range of planning for some of those things. Of course, most of you probably know we've been dealing with, actually since 2013, I applied for a grant from RDOT for a improvement on Elm Street that goes behind Bank of the Ozarks, behind Nauru, all the way to, 3rd Street by the Sonic. So that'll open up that corridor, which ironically happens to tie in right at the side of this particular property that will help alleviate some of that traffic.
Rick's Auto.
The last Rick's Auto. The last traffic count I saw, and it's been a while since I looked at it, but there were 23,000 cars a day in front of Bank of the Ozarks. So we already have a juggernaut, as you well know if you try to drive this town. So the point of the Elm Street improvement was to get that little section, especially that section, because the traffic counts go down where people have outlets. So the point of the Elm Street improvement is to give a ventilation for that, and we can take people over to 2nd Street by Sonic and route them around. We have recently, then you would have, if you'll think this out, I have a few sheets of drawing. You probably wouldn't be able to see all of it, and I'll provide anything you ask for. But if you'll think behind that, we call it the old price cutter that we're remodeling to the animal shelter, there is a street behind it, that's Elm. It stops on 10th Street behind the library. The way the corridor is going to have to work out, you remember the old Crown Metal Building site, there is a proposed mini storage on that site that Planning Commission has already approved. They are making us, we have negotiated, Alicia and I have negotiated a piece of right-of-way on the west end of that property that will help us continue over to Dale Drive. And we've also got verbal approval from Kroger to grant us right-of-way across their southern border, which is along Dale Drive. All that said, the master street plan dream of having connectability from Dakota to Sonic, way over here by City Hall, is coming to fruition. Is it going to be one straight connector superhighway? No, but it will give us some off-traffic vent. And so when this piece of property, now you're thinking about traffic and you're not wrong, because everything we do in this town affects traffic, right? But for us, we as an owner, we have a really nice animal shelter, animal surgery center, fiber optic office building that we're remodeling. We're in design. We're at 90% plans. And they start talking about this, and it starts really messing with our site plan. As you can imagine, what are we going to do with Chick-fil-A? So we have been without the ability to hardline any of these numbers. We've worked quite well with this developer who has acquiesced a lot of their wishes to allow us to dictate some of those things. You have to deal, if you've ever seen a Chick-fil-A drive-through, right, most of them go around buildings like this. We didn't want that traffic to be in our parking lot because it just blocks everything we're trying to do with animals. and I'd let Mike speak to that. So this long drive-through along 8th Street will allow traffic to come into 8th Street between this property and the pawn shop and come back and stack from the back. And it allows about, is it? 40-car stack. And if you've ever seen the Jonesboro Chick-fil-A, they've got a lengthy one like this that allows two rows of cars. So we think, is it the ideal for us as an owner of property, as a city in Cabot? It's not the ideal situation for our CAS building. But this developer has been quite amicable in helping coordinate an effort to have the least amount of impact on our current building. He's seen our design plans and he's adapted well. And of course, we've had to adapt some too. So that's the story. Is that what the kind of?
And then the road beside Freddy's will go straight to Locust. So you can take Dakota straight to Locust.
Yeah, so that
And pop on the freeway.
alone will have a benefit to that Dakota side. Yes, sir.
Once the new overpass is done.
Right.
So you segued nicely into my last question, so I appreciate that. So because these two resolutions, this one and the next one, are so connected, if it is approved that we give or sell them, sell them this property, how is that going to affect the future development of the CAS building? Are we giving up parking spots that we will be required to by city ordinance
We are
for the
giving
capacity of that building?
We will lose a few parking spots, that's no doubt, but we had surplus for counts, required counts for parking. We also have had to change our site plan. We will do a joint use agreement on some few, I can't remember, that seemed like a dozen. They still need a dozen. They needed this land to get their quota for parking spots, and we had that much margin to give.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for indulging me.
No, you're welcome.
So when is your dream road going to happen?
Elm Street? Friday I was in receipt of the last few pieces of survey data that I can take to, I need to speak to some owners about some temporary construction easements in the next couple of weeks. We think we'll be on a highway, it goes through the highway department, it's not our project. Sometime in September is our hope. September highway letting, which would start us right there at the end of the year, beginning of the year. So we think that a year from today, you'll be driving on it.
Alicia, I have one more question for you.
Thanks, Brian.
Yes.
Two more, sorry.
No worries, go for it.
So they're just buying the parking lot from us, and then they're going to buy that strip mall that has like 7 spots for businesses. I think there's 3 or 4 in there right now.
Yes, and I believe that's in your packet. As
Yeah,
far as what that,
so those 3 or 4 local businesses are going to
correct.
have to find somewhere
Absolutely.
else to go. Yes,
Yes.
okay. And then remind me again how much Chick-fil-A is going to make in their first year?
5 million.
$5 million. And they need our $88,000 to come here.
It's an ask and answer. And again, it's incentivizing them because of the existing building. I mean, really is what it comes down to, is what that's going to look like. I do want to address your first question. We are in a precarious spot when it comes to this discussion and how much attention it has really garnered, because usually the seller likes to remain anonymous and the buyer likes to remain anonymous. We do not have that luxury any longer, unfortunately. I can also speculate that up until about a week or so ago, the seller had no idea who his buyer was, assuming. Again, so because these things are not been executed, there's not an opportunity for us to go meet with those small businesses. But that's something that Mayor and I have actually spoken about, is how can we help service them and start compiling a list with our commercial brokers in the area. What do we have for leasing available? What's for sale? I do know that the owner of that particular piece of property actually has other properties within the city that he also owns. So I think working with them, but that will of course have to be at his discretion, not ours. And then I also want to wheel that back around of incentive package that we have available. You know, this is a great opportunity to play this forward, and how can we catapult this into the next opportunity for another business and another business and another business. So thank you. Did that answer that? Did it answer the second part too? Okay.
Matt, do you have another question? Okay. James, you have anything right now?
Can't hear you.
He said no. Yeah, he's on muted.
He's just pushing buttons.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Before I open to the audience, Steve, you have anything right now? Ron, you got anything? Brandon, anything else? Maggie, you? Ed? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
You're welcome. All right, I'm going to open up the audience. If you'd come up, state your name, tell me if you live in Cabot, in the residents of Cabot, and you have the floor.
Good evening, everybody. Phil Robinson. I'm a resident of Cabot. Just a question to start with. Mr. Long, your motion motion that's on the floor, I think, was for an ordinance, but my package shows resolution. Is it It's a resolution? Okay. Got it. Understand that. I just didn't know whether we're talking about an ordinance or a resolution.
It was for a resolution.
All right, thank you. And then the second thing, just for consideration, we're talking about the Economic Development Fund, and based on what Tammy and the mayor told us a while ago, we're working on our second business here, and then I think if my figures are right in my head, the two of these businesses account for 60 to 70% of that fund right now. So that just is a factor to consider. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
State my name. So John Campbell, not a resident of Cabot, but a business owner, and came here tonight, learned a lot in the last 20 minutes or so of this discussion that changes a lot of things, and wasn't coming up here tonight to say, hey, please don't incentivize Chick-fil-A. That would make me a very unpopular person. And I've heard some things that Alicia has said that my being here tonight was to speak on behalf of the small business owner, not to lose focus of the single and the double base hitters always looking for the home run. Seems like we do have some of those, some things in place to help the small business owner. A lot of times, small business owner doesn't have the resources of an attorney, of a financial advisor, things of that to navigate some of these things. So I wasn't coming here tonight to say, please don't incentivize Chick-fil-A. It was just, please don't lose sight of what has made this town, grow like it has, and that has been the small business owner. So I can also stand here and apologize for some emotional posts that I was involved in. From what I've learned tonight, it kind of changes things a little bit. I do understand it. I do have a concern that, as former Chief Robinson brought up, these two deals are taking quite a bit of that percentage right now. I do understand all this is coming from business license, correct? But it replenishes, so without losing businesses, that's pretty steady each year. So I wanted to stand up here and say, yes, I was involved in some posts this weekend that were emotionally charged and had this amazing speech, but you guys ruined it. I had this amazing speech written out. It was standing ovation quality. And we will, as a small business owner, I will approach Alicia. We do have some business plans and everything that we'd like to present, because my wife and I do have some plans for not just one more restaurant, but 2 or 3 that give us some unique opportunities for the community. So thank you for this time, and you guys have a very unenviable task, one that most people wouldn't want. You guys are here to make sometimes popular and sometimes unpopular decisions. So thank you for this, and once again, just please don't lose sight of the small businessman. So, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Good afternoon. Nelson Lively, and I am a resident here at Cabot. Been here for about 5 years. First of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for serving, because I've been in that chair where you guys are. I used to be mayor of Hooks, Texas. That's a hard job. One of the things that we did at Hooks, Texas is we had an economic development fund also. We had over $250,000 in that fund, and we had nobody wanted it. We couldn't get anybody to apply for it, anybody to do anything. So my only recommendation to you guys is to try to find somebody like the chamber or somebody like that to help let everybody know that these programs are out there and available. I'm also a direct SBA lender, so I know business development. I also am a partner with my son Blake in the Dairy Queens. We really appreciate Cabot and their support. We're here to help everybody. We want all these businesses to succeed. We have no problem with Chick-fil-A or anybody else coming. But what I would just say is it's such a tough thing, and sometimes things get misunderstood when things aren't divulged in a timely manner. So I would just encourage all you guys to kind of, and I know when you're making negotiations, you have those non-disclosure agreements that you can't say too much too soon. But I appreciate how you guys explained it tonight. I think you're doing a good job. I just think you just make sure, let everybody know they've got the same opportunity and the same ability to come up and get these funds that are available to them to help make this city grow. Do we have traffic problems? Absolutely. When we first came to town, we were told, hey, there's an access to your back road. They've marked it, ready to get it done, and so we have access. Well, guess what? The owner of that property said, no, I've been using it for years, and we had trouble, so we still don't have that road. The owner next door, he didn't like me at all, and I didn't do anything to him. I didn't ask for that road. Cabot brought it to me, and that road's still not there. And, you know, thank goodness we've resolved the issue, and we're going on fine, and we're doing just fine. But some of the things of developing the roads and getting the right-of-ways isn't quite as easy as you think it is. So there's a lot of balls in the air right now. There's a lot of work's got to be done. But I support 100% going forward, getting new businesses in. New businesses help old businesses, as long as you guys don't forget us, because the more people that stay here, the more people use us, and we all benefit. So I just want to thank y'all for doing that, and thank you for allowing me to speak for a few minutes.
Thank you, Nelson.
My name's Ted Arnett. I also live and work in Cabot, and I actually am within the center where this would be developed. And I just heard about this today, so I'm completely unprepared in any way. But commercial real estate is what I do in Cabot. So there's hardly a day go by that someone doesn't want to buy a piece of property on Main Street. They don't need incentives to do it. I mean, there's people clamoring to find a piece of property on Main Street. This one that's being purchased potentially by Chick-fil-A wasn't openly offered, or it would have likely been sold already to someone else. I don't know about the additional land, but I do know that the property value along Main Street is probably $20, $25 a foot. So I don't know what the city is planning on charging Chick-fil-A, but that's where the market's at. So I just thought I'd share, there's certainly no problem. Additionally, there are 3 sites that I know of that Chick-fil-A could consider. Kmart parking lot there where the Kmart building is, that's a large site which could handle the traffic.
We tried.
Do what?
We tried.
Prospect, where Dollar General is, there's 3 acres there, secondary access on 10th Street.
We tried.
Well, I have that one for sale. So it's
We tried.
available. And then thirdly, Locust Street, there's property on Locust Street. So all those are large enough and could handle the traffic. So anyway, just wanted to share that. I'm not necessarily, I mean, I think Chick-fil-A is also good. The location, you know, that's up to the city if they choose that. But as far as giving the $80,000, there's plenty of people that would pay to be in that location and wouldn't need that incentive. So that was it for me.
Thank you, Ted. Anyone else?
This is just a question, and it doesn't affect me, but we're talking about the strip center there, and we're talking about the 3 or 4 tenants there. And I don't know, of course, Alicia mentioned, yes, seller and buyer and all that stuff stays confidential. Will the city work on behalf of those tenants that are in those locations to help them with relocating either?
That's
Okay.
what Alicia said earlier.
I missed that, and I'm sorry.
Yes.
It was just something, like I said, it doesn't affect me. I was just, for those people. All right, thanks.
Anyone else? Anyone else from council? We have a, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Naomi Bratton. I live in the city limits of Cabot, and I am a proud Cabot Panther, class of '84, best ever. So I'm a little bit surprised to hear Miss Alicia, and I don't know her last name, I'm sorry, or I would say Mrs. whomever. But I was kind of surprised to hear her say there's 3 or 4. There's 4. Okay, let's start with that count. I'm one of them. I own It's My Party. I'm just curious how many small business owners are in the building tonight? Raise your hand if you're a small business owner or have ever been. Oh, throw mine up too. Okay. Also, by a show of hands, how many of you knew that this fund was there for us as opposed to luring large businesses? Y'all have a communication problem, a massive communication problem. And I want to know from Miss Alicia or whomever on the council wants to vote for this, how much are you going to offer us to move? I just sunk over $12,000 in that building. Not in my stuff, in the building. And I want to know how my money is coming back. We're not insignificant. It's the exact opposite. Terry, that's in the end of the building with Cellular Superstore, I ain't going to ask y'all to raise your hand if he's ever fixed your phone, because I know he has. He's the only game in town. Has been there for more than 20 years. I find it significant. In-N-Out Salon, Amanda and her husband Robert have been there for more than 10. Miss Sandy from Sandy's Pet Grooming has been there for close to 25. And the name of the seller of the building is LSL Real Estate LLC. It's the Lazenbys. Not the mom and dad who actually bought it, it's the kids that are selling. I got confirmation today that the building went under contract on July the 19th. So last week. I'm the only one with a lease. I'm the only one who has a leg to stand on in that building. How do all the other owners who have been there, the business owners, how do they recoup everything that they've ever done for more than 2 decades? Has had 801 West Main Street, Suite 1, Suite 3, or Suite 5. How are they going to get their money back? Which one of you is going to vote to give them money to be able to move? I've been there the least amount of time. And my heart goes out to all of us, obviously. This is very upsetting. Over a piece of chicken. They will bring money. Guaranteed. They will bring money. I am not even going to try to beat that dead horse because they're going to bring money. I think the taxes that they'll bring to this city will be absolutely freaking fantastic. You know what would do even better? A dispensary. And it wouldn't put the rest of us out. I'm also a licensed realtor with iRealty here in Cabot. I don't need them to find me a freaking building. I don't need it. I don't need you to give me an address. I need you to figure out how I'm going to recoup the over $3,000 I paid the plumber just to add a bathroom to that building, that by the time the plumber got to work, the offer had already been made on the building. When I paid the $1,800 to the electrician to fix the lighting, when I paid $1,000 to my heat and air guy to come in and actually make sure that everything was up to snuff, to make sure that everything was up to code. When I jumped through hoop after hoop after hoop after hoop, the offer had already been made. And nobody from the city, nor the Lazenbys, nor anyone else said a word. How do I get my money back? Where do I move to? I had a finite amount of money to invest, and I did it in my hometown. I could have gone somewhere else. I chose not to. I chose that building specifically. I stalked those people, literally stalked those people, because they don't answer the freaking phone. And finally got the new leasing agent to answer my call. Kind of wish he'd blown me off now, but, you know, it is what it is, right? But I want to know, what is the city going to do for us? How many other businesses and or people have to be displaced to put this new road in? That's all pie in the sky. It all sounds real good. And I agree, we have a traffic issue. I agree with Brian 110%. We need to put some extra roads in. We need to connect some of these roads. We need to connect the dots. There's not a problem with that. But I need to ask you, how many people are going to be displaced? Whether they're business owners, current owners. I want to know, is the new road going to go through the parking lot of the church right behind Bank OZK? I'm asking a question I really don't know.
No one will be displaced. It's been on the map. There's already easements. No one's going to be displaced. It doesn't go through anybody's property or building or parking lot.
So no other business is going to be displaced. No one's parking lot is going to be destroyed.
Not that I know of. Brian's saying no as well, so.
And everyone's already agreed to sell.
Which part?
From Elm going to Sonic. That direction back through there. Oh, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, and I'm glad to know that the city actually owned that. That's a good thing. Just like I'm glad the city owns the old Price Cutter building. I think it's a very good thing, although what happened to the pantry, I don't know.
It's still in there.
There's over $500,000 there that somehow has just, no work's being done and nothing's happening with that. That's real curious too. But my question is at what point in time is it more important to take care of the people who are here than what it is to suck up to somebody else and say, oh, please come because your super sweet chicken is so good? At what point in time do you stop and say, what's this going to do to P Farm Bistro? Cabot Cafe and Cake Corner. They sell different stuff. Absolutely, they sell different foods. Nini's Dishes, Chef Candace, Pizza Pro, they sell different foods. Obviously, it's not the same, but if you're spending all your cash at the new chain store in town, what happens to the people who saw you through the pandemic? What happens to them? Y'all need to do some soul searching.
Thank you. Anyone else? Council, anyone? We got a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, roll call vote, please. Tammy?
Red,
Yes.
Hillenberg,
Yes.
Cope,
No.
Reed,
Yes.
Weber,
No.
Waymack,
No.
Long.
Yes.
The mayor says yes, passes 5-3. Next item, resolution number 38 of 2022. Tammy, please.
Resolution number 38 of 2022, a resolution to authorize the mayor and city clerk treasurer to enter into an agreement to sell a portion of the parking lot associated with 805 West Main Street and for other purposes.
I make a motion that we approve resolution number 38 of 2022.
Second.
Okay. I got a motion from Brandon and a second from Stephen. Sorry, James, he beat you. To approve resolution number 38 of 2022. Any discussion, council? Anybody in the audience?
Hey there, Phil Robinson again. I am a citizen of Cabot. Just had one question on this one. It wasn't clear to me. The funds used to purchase the property that we're selling now by resolution here, where did those funds originate? Where did they come from? When we purchased the property in the
Franchise
parking-
fees.
They were from franchise fees? Okay, that negates the second question then, was where they're going into. Thank you.
Ted Arnett, and my question is, I don't have any of this data. What is it being sold for? How much land? For
Kip Broderick from RGP Appraisals did the appraisal, and it's being sold for, I believe the price is $54,000.
$54,000 for how
Yep.
much land?
It is
0.76 acres?
That's what he said, more or less,
0.76,
per survey attached.
83,000. So $1.63 a foot? That,
I don't have the math in front of me, but
that's how much it is, $1.63 a foot.
that's what the appraiser told us.
Well, if you were to dissect that property from the other property and not take in consideration that it's in a large shared parking agreement with multiple accesses, you might come up with that number. But $1.63 a foot is very much less than what the city paid for the land, and it's certainly less than what I could achieve for the land. So it just seems like it's a very low number for that parcel. Again, whatever you do would be your decision, but $1.63 a foot is certainly not market value.
Okay,
That'd be it.
well, I guess the appraiser's wrong, is what you're telling me?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
yeah.
Before we presented anything to you, we wanted to do our due diligence to the taxpayers of this community. So on June 21st, we did get an appraisal on that property, specifically with the intention of presenting it to you. I have the full packet of how they determined that land use and also the price. And so that was not a number that we came up with on our own. That was under the advisement of the appraisal that was done here by RGB. Thank you.
Mayor, you said that was .76?
That's what it
Acre?
says here in your packet. It
Okay.
says the land assemblage site is .76 acres more or less per property, per survey attached. The total land site to be assembled to 801 West Main Street, which contains 59,242 square feet, or 1.36. Source for site size is attached. See limited condition accepting to the appraisal report.
Yeah, I want to make sure I heard it right. Just .76.
Yes, sir. That's
Thank
what
you.
it has here. Any other questions by council? Go ahead.
My name's Kevin Livinggood. I'm a citizen of Cabot and also one of our downtown building owners. And most of my questions were already answered as far as, Ted asking about the appraisal, because that was a big question I had, having recently purchased a facility on Pine Street, and my appraisal was nowhere near the square footage numbers that we're showing here. So that was a question of mine. The other question I had too, I guess this would be more for Alicia and Brian, is if the property is for sale, is it only being offered to this developer? And from a city standpoint, I guess I'm asking the fairness question of selling a city property and only offering it to one developer. How's that playing into how we're going to do things going forward?
The building's not city property.
No, I'm talking about the property that the city owns.
You're talking about the strips of land beside their building.
Exactly, but it's setting a precedent for city-owned property and only offering it to one developer if we're going to set aside these projects and not have some sort of bidding process.
Ben, would you like to comment on that?
Government-owned land. And I could be completely wrong in this, but
I don't think there's any
I'm just
statute.
wondering how this is going to go forward
Go ahead.
with other developers, other ideas, things like that, and lands owned by the city. So, and this is mostly just for clarity. I'm not
Sure, I
trying to be,
understand. Yeah, we don't have to offer it to a bunch of different people.
That's fine.
It just has to be sold at arm's length transaction.
Okay, that's
By a
fine.
credible appraiser, and Kip Beaudry from RGP Appraisals did this appraisal.
That's great. That's all I needed to know. I just had that question.
Okay.
And that was most of it. Everything else I have is pretty much answered. But
Okay.
I did want to get some clarity on that.
Yeah, I understand.
So, all right, appreciate it.
Thank you, Doc. Go ahead.
When the appraisal was ordered, the appraiser himself, I wish Kip were here to explain, this appraisal is an assemblage value, his term, appraiser speak. The assemblage value, because the property is not, in a situation like this, would not have an inherent value standalone. If you took this legal description and tried to market it, it's an oddity. It only has value to the person that owns 801 Main. So he's called that an assemblage value. So he had to use a different formula to derive the price. So to speak to Ted, Ted's exactly right. It's probably worth a lot more if it were shaped properly to put a building on. But it's an odd piece because they did not have the room to do what they needed to do for drive-through in this particular location. So that's how we got where we are. I hope that helps the conversation.
Thank you, Brian. Any other questions by the audience? Seeing none, any more by council? Seeing none, we have a motion to second on the floor. Tammy, all in favor, roll call vote.
Red,
Yes.
Hillenberg,
Yes.
Cope,
No.
Reed,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Waymack, Long.
Yes.
Passes 5-2. Next item, resolution number 39 of 2022. Please, Tammy.
Resolution number 39 of 2022, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk treasurer to enter into an agreement with Gene Summers Construction for completion of the Locust Street CDBG project and for other purposes.
This is just basically housekeeping. We did a bid, as you all know, it's in your packet, to do the work on Locust Street that we did a grant from, and it's $300-something thousand, $356,406.72 to complete this work. And we just need council approval to proceed with this contractor.
I have a request that in the future, we use a larger font on these tables.
On which tables?
I need to get my eyes checked, I guess. I don't know, but I had to use a magnifying glass on this.
Okay. Oh, I see your table. This one, okay. Joe? Make sure you make it bigger.
Bigger.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, we adopt 39 of 2022.
I got a motion from Steve and a second from James to adopt Resolution 39 of 2022. Any discussion by council? Anybody in the audience? Seeing none, all in favor, roll call vote, please, Tammy.
Hillenberg,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Waymack,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Red.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next item is community input. Now's the time if you want to come up and speak with the council, please approach the mic and let us know if your name and if you live in Cabot.
Having a tough day physically, so bear with me. My name's Jeremy Picar. I'm a resident of Cabot. Clarification is great for crowd control, isn't it? A lot of people didn't know what was going on. I appreciate all the input that we got today. The information is great. I'd like to thank Maggie and James for sending me the information to inform me of this meeting. There's a breakdown, I think, that I want to talk about, and it's a concern I've watched councilmen express in here before, and I don't want to fault any single person, but rather the process which we are releasing and handling information. Multiple councilmen have expressed their concerns, both previous meetings and with myself privately, about the time frame they have to review the agenda prior to having a vote on it. Currently, they have about 3 days to read, research, and reach out to their constituents and make an educated vote. The public has even less time than that. The last meeting's packets were released at 9:30 a.m. Monday morning. The meeting started 9 hours later, the same as this meeting, and we all have a lot on our plates. Mondays are hectic for most, filled with work, school, kids, and a plethora of other things. And to be able to properly do all of our due diligence and give input, I feel we need to have a greater amount of time to study these ordinances. The low public attendance at most of these meetings, not today obviously, I believe can be as a direct result of the pace in this process, coupled with the repetitive use of emergency clauses and waiving of second and third readings, which happens for about 80% of the agenda items lately, for the last year anyway. In certain instances, these are very useful tools and definitely necessary, but as in the case of the Planning Commission appointees last week, the city attorney stated that it was not necessary to waive the additional readings. That was disregarded, and they were waived anyway. I personally feel we didn't need any extra time before the nominations were approved, but there could have been someone in the public that might have. It didn't get that opportunity because of the short time we had been for notification and this hurried process that I'm referring to. My question to all of you tonight is, do you have any ideas that could benefit solving these problems and becoming more informative and transparent as a governing body, which could increase public participation and input? I think we can all agree that people deserve to be informed in a more timely fashion.
Well, my first question to you is, we organize ourselves at the beginning of each year, and we did that this past year, and we've done it the past year before that, year before that, and the council had wanted it 3 days before. So who on the council wants more time?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Who on the council wants more time? We've already organized and
Who
said
needs more time?
Who needs more time?
Well, it was presented by the councilman Michael Jones. It was seconded by Brandon Hillenberg during a council meeting several months back, a couple months back.
That we'd have it by Thursday, and then we'd put in a piece of paper showing what's coming up, to other meetings, and our attorney's been doing that.
Okay. Well,
So,
it would-
so who else?
I'm just reiterating, well, James Reed in private has
Okay.
spoken to me as well.
James, you need more time?
I'm good.
Okay,
I'm aware of the packages.
okay.
And the public from 9 a.m. when we're working to 9 hours later when we have everything on our plate, I just appreciate a little more time to do our due diligence, and you would see an increase in public input. And I think that's imperative to run a government and do the people's will.
So what are you wanting us to do?
I don't know. I don't have any suggestions. I just need more time. I feel I need more time.
How much time?
Councilman needs more time. They've asked for more time. I don't know how much, just something, a show of, I don't know.
You need more
Brandon?
time to what? To read it
be able to
yourself?
To be able to review the information prior to voting on it. I mean,
How much more
they're
time?
business owners. Brandon's running his tail off trying to fix ACs, so 3 days seems very minimal to me.
Brandon, how much more time you need?
I'm a big supporter of transparency, and I think the sooner we get the docket out, the better for anybody. And I've expressed that before.
So, but I need a time. I mean, everything runs off deadlines, and we don't sit up at the office not doing anything. We work hard every day, and we're meeting all these different deadlines. So we need a deadline. If the deadline needs to change, Ed, help me here. What do we need to do?
The deadlines that we are currently operating under were based on deadlines for Tammy to be able to get financials out, which was the most important deadlines at the Planning Commission operates under in order to get stuff to us in a timely manner. That's, I mean, we can look at it again, but everybody up road is going to have to change as well. But if that's what the council decides to do, then everybody will have to change. I mean, I personally, of course, I'm not like Brandon. I'm certainly not like Matt trying to deliver mail in 103-degree weather. I'm not in, so I get mine. I look at it. I use sometimes Saturday, to do and go out and look at things. But I know that my situation is unique, and I understand that. But it's not just us that is affected by the deadlines on whenever we put a deadline out. We've got to take the city clerk's office into consideration. We've got to take planning commission into consideration. All of that has to be done.
The regularly scheduled council meetings and the packets, as they're distributed, I don't have an issue with that. And I said earlier, with this special meeting being called, it was a shorter time period to review the information. This is a unique situation. So, yeah, I wish I would have had more time on this one, but it was a special meeting, so it was out of the ordinary.
So I'm asking you, man, what do you suggest? You suggest a week? You suggest 2 weeks?
I would just consult the councilmen and ask what they need. Personally, from the public's perspective, I would like to get the packet or any information possibly at the same time. 3 days would be great. 9 hours is just inadequate.
I admit that I thought that it was going to be on the city's website or the Facebook page, and when I was contacted by a couple of individuals and they asked me for the packet, and I think, Maggie, you did the same thing, if we've got it, we'll share it. No questions asked.
Yeah. And that's how I got it, was Maggie and James,
Right. Well, if you
just had to
remember,
cry.
I sent out an email Sunday night asking, are you sure y'all want to do this meeting? Because I had been sick with COVID. Okay,
Well, we get to feeling better.
I'm on my 5 days of my mask now. So I just want to make sure everybody was good. I'm on my 5 days now. We didn't know for sure if we were going to have it tonight until last night. So that's when they sent it out first thing this morning. So
And extenuating circumstances
this
are
was
understandable.
this was
But
a special deal.
This is a weekly thing that I'm referring to.
Weekly, it comes out on
Not
Thursday.
monthly.
Monthly.
Every meeting, it comes out on Monday morning at 9 a.m., 9 hours before the meeting, to the public.
Not usually, no. No.
It has for the last 6 months.
Well, we sent it out to the general distribution of the city on Thursday. We might not put it on the website till Monday, but it goes out Thursday to everyone on the email list.
How do you get access to that email list, I guess?
You get with me, or Alicia will take your email, we'll give it to Cleta. I mean, there's 500, 600, 700 people that get it. We send it out as soon as Thursday when council gets it.
So-
That's where I'm getting confused. It already goes out to everybody.
Well,
That's on the
700
list.
people out of 30,000 isn't
Right.
everybody.
Right. I'll get with my Facebook guy and make sure he puts it on Thursday, the same day we release it.
I would just appreciate
If
more
that's
time,
when you
and I
want
know some councilmen would as
No,
well. so-
we were just not wanting to bog up Facebook.
Sure.
But it goes out to.
Brainstorm.
Usually all the people that come here, obviously besides you, receive a packet as far as I know.
Okay.
I still get one at my personal address before I was mayor. So, I'm still on there.
Something to think of. Thank you for listening.
Sure, we'll make sure we do it. Alicia, make sure we do that.
Hello, I'm Amber. I live in Cabot, too. I do agree with him. There have been meetings that the packets don't get out to us till Monday. I've been coming regularly for, I think, 4 years now. I did not know that there was an email list that we could join, so thank you for that information.
Oh, you're welcome. Hey, give yours to Alicia as well, would you? Phil, I know you get the packet.
I don't.
Phil.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I want on that list also. And some of the examples like this, I can give some examples of what Jeremy was talking about. The third one, the one we just approved, I just first saw it on the website this morning. And so that was not enough time for me to talk to anybody. I think I sent one quick email, ask a couple questions on. But that's all the time I had. I was in a training class all day today, so I got it during the morning sometime. I saw it this afternoon, and I had time to snap a quick email out. The person I sent it to didn't have time to address any of it. And last week, we did 4 or 5 ordinances that were the same way. The first time I saw them was that morning when it came out on a Facebook page. And then they were relatively benign ordinances anyway. However, the second and third reading was waived on both of those. So in the first place, we got it early in the morning. And in the second place, those ordinances, second and third readings are waived. So if we had any potential input, we didn't have the opportunity.
Sure.
As citizens, the council, I'm on the same sheet with Jeremy. I've heard from several council members in private, and I will not tell you their names because it was in private, but I've heard from at least 3, probably 4 if I think about it, that say they don't get things in time to get it out to the public and address the issues that they want to with it before they're asked to vote on it. So that's my input to it.
Ben, what did the statute say on that?
So in terms of the legalities, we're actually miles ahead of what we need to be doing. For a special meeting, it's 2 hours, and it's not the packet. It's just notice of the meeting. The city is not required to send out text of the resolutions. It's not required to post on the website, not required to live stream a meeting, not required to send them, required to give notice of meetings, but all this stuff that we're talking about is actually technically not required under the law at all. We could have posted to the email group at 4:30 today, and without sending anything out, and be completely in compliance with the law. So the law is very, very minimum, and the city is above the law in many respects in this case.
So we're not trying to, we're doing above and beyond, and we'll make sure we put it on Facebook 3 days before. I just thought everybody was on the email list because we have a big one. Jeffrey, you get it, right? Yeah. Well, there's one person in here that gets it. Besides Miss Norma Long, she gets it. I see her back there smiling, kind of smiling. Anyway, Lisa, just make sure we put it out on Facebook. The same day Cleta sends it out on mass email. Okay. And if council wants to change that, please let us know, and then we'll work on pushing it back more. Okay? Anyone else? And I just ask when you get it to, if you have a question, call me, text me, call a council member. Don't start spreading nonsense that is incorrect. That's what I ask. That's what I ask. Go ahead.
You said ask you. I want to know what's going on in the community pantry. Who's the head of it? Where's the money? At what point in time can we expect it to open? Where's the food coming from?
Money's sitting at the trustee. The building's not designed yet. It's 90%. And you're in that area's in it. And I think they have a picture of it right there if you want to look at it. Naomi, you can't have a deal started until you get the building designed and we know when it's going to open.
Who designed the building?
WD&D.
Have they ever run a food pantry?
They've designed the space. We haven't designed the pantry within the space, and that's when the committee will begin to meet once we get the space.
So they're doing like the overarching building itself?
Yes, the finish out. And after, if you want to meet with Alicia and them, they have it back there.
Yeah, I'd like to see. I'm
Yes,
just
ma'am.
real curious as to, because all of a sudden we were great guns last year, and then all of a sudden it just went off into the ether and nobody's talking about it, nobody's bringing it up, nobody's questioning what's going on with it.
It's taken 15 years to get a road built at Elm. 15 years. I'm the fourth mayor, and I'm the one that's going to get it done.
Okay.
Things get stuck up in planning and engineers and design, and we got to get through this first, and then we're going to go the next route.
Okay. When do you expect that to open?
I have no idea.
When is Animal Services going to open? Any ideas? Like projected?
I know, Mike, you'll have a crazy date. Mike, what's a realistic date?
Unrealistic date is October 1st. It'll probably be December or so next year.
Of 2023.
Of 23? Okay. I hadn't heard anything else about it. I just knew that the building was bought and it was there, and you know, my perspective, I can see them actually either working on the building or no one's there, and it just all of a sudden dried up and nobody's in the parking lot.
We're still in design, that's why.
Okay.
They're designing everything. And then they're cutting stuff because we're looking at cost, and we got to figure out what makes sense.
Right. When it comes to the interior design of the building for the pantry itself, who is going to design that?
I guess we'll get the thoughts of the committee and figure out where to put shelves and stuff.
Who's on the committee?
We haven't, Cleta has the list of people I've met with before from different groups in the area, and I don't have the list with me, but you can call up the office and I can give it to you.
Okay. And then who is in charge of the project itself?
The project of what?
The project of the pantry itself, as far as putting everything together.
I still don't understand. Putting the,
As far as like putting the committee together, as far as having the meetings, calling the meetings, holding the meetings,
that'll be me.
Can I ask how many pantries you've run?
To put the meeting together and get it going, that's what you said. They're going to create a board within themselves, so for the ordinance, and Ben can allude to that again, we can, if you remember some of the legal terms off your mind, that it has to be run by a separate entity. You said who's going to form it, get it going, but this other group's going to be running the day-to-day operations. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, the city by ordinance that was passed and by law is not and cannot run it. The city must own it, but will not operate it.
Where are you going to look for the director, and how much is the salary going to be?
No idea.
And the reason I'm asking all this is because literally I haven't heard one single word from anyone on the council nor the mayor. I haven't heard anything from anyone since August of last year.
We're not there yet. Still in design. 90%. I had a page-turning meeting today, so I don't know when you'll be at 100%. Do you know when?
August
August 10th? Okay.
Okay.
So once we get that complete, then we'll get the committee together and say, here's a spot. They've already met with me and sent back emails of what they'd like to see, how they like it organized, and then we'll talk about how they want to organize, and then we'll go from there.
Has anyone who's been coming to the committee, is there anybody that has been coming to the meetings? Have any of them ever run a pantry?
Kim Buckbucker has, and I don't know, I haven't asked the other people if they've ever run a pantry. I know she has because I just know, but I don't know about the other ones. I don't have their CO or CV or resume.
So the people who are coming to the meeting have never run a pantry, but they're on the
I don't
committee
know.
to put a pantry together?
Now you're making up words that I don't know if they've never run a pantry. I just said they've come to the meetings. I don't know if they've never run a pantry. It's some church leaders, some other type leaders. You'll have to call me for the names, but I don't know if they've never run a pantry.
I would have just thought that that would have been a precursor to, or something that would have happened before inviting them to be on a committee to put a pantry together. Have you ever run a pantry? And if the answer is no, then I would have thought that we would have gone a different
Well,
direction.
churches have run pantries, yeah. The committee's not together yet. It's not formed of who's going to actually run the pantry.
Well, it's been 11 months.
It's true.
I
And
mean,
buildings-
we
buildings
approved
still
that. The
design.
voters approved it. The
That's right.
council approved to put it on the ballot.
You can't have a pantry without a building, Naomi.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Seeing none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Adjourned, 7:57.